Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the gamer scene. I'm sonnorcteer, and I'm bringing you yet another game review. This time I turn my beady eye to Pokémon Black and White 2 on the Nintendo DS. Now, I know you may be thinking, wait a second, this game isn't out yet in America or Europe, but it is in Japan, and I've managed to get my hands on a Japanese copy of this game to bring you guys the review early. Then I can inform you whether to get the game or not if you're considering it, or you might not be. Well, what I think I'm going to do with this review is break it down into the 5 main game sections that I think are important. We have plot, we have gameplay, we have graphics, we have sound, and finally, number 5, multiplayer. So, let's kick off this review with a look at the plot to Black and White 2. The plot for Black and White 2 is a sequel to Black and White, technically. But the characters in Black and White aren't the same characters in Black. There are a few recurring characters. If you play Black and White, Sharon and Bianca are both going to return, as are N, Getsis, all of those guys. They will return in this game. However, the main character you play as will be a completely different guy. In this game, the new Plasma wants world domination, as of course most of the Pokemon games involve some sort of dodgy world domination by a game, and the old Plasma are looking to stop them. So basically it becomes a battle of Achroma, also known as Corlus in the English game, and Getsis versus N, telling them bad and right. I couldn't get the full gist of the plot because of course it was in Japanese and I don't speak Japanese, but my general consensus from what I could tell is that that's what it's going to be about. The map for Black and White 2 is the same as the map in Black and White, but there are a few added locations, and the route you take to get to the Elite Four and complete the game will be a completely different and new route to what you had to take in the last game in the Black and White. What else? The game has new Pokemon. Of course, it'll have the same new Pokemon in Black and White. So if you've not played any of these games, like you're an old fan, you like the red and the blue and the gold and silver, there are a lot of new Pokemon that you've missed out on. And well, I have to say, this new generation of Pokemon probably isn't the most creative. You can tell the guys at Game Freak, or the guys who make the Pokemon, who design the Pokemon, are beginning to run out of ideas. A little example, an ice cream has become a Pokemon, and when you see something like that, you're thinking a little bit of ideas are lacking here. But, however, the old Pokemon are back in this game from the start onwards. In the old game, in Black and White, you could only catch Pokemon from previous generations after you'd completed the game. This time, you can right from the start. Literally, one of the first Pokemon you can catch are Mareep and Riolu and Sunkern and stuff like that. So it really adds a lot of benefits, and I really think that boosts the game up because it means that I've got the new Pokemon there that I can learn about, but also the old favourites that I can go back to and rely on when I really want to use them. The plot is what Pokemon will always be. They have to make it complicated, but at the same time not too complicated because of their audience. And so if you're looking for a deep storyline, this probably won't be the plot for you. Now moving on to part number 2, the gameplay of the game. The gameplay mechanic is the same as all Pokemon games. You battle, it's turn-based, you move moves, they use moves, you kill each other, you have 6 on your team, when you run out you die. There are a few changes to the gameplay that have been incorporated. Mainly, they've invented difficulties for this game. Once you have completed the game, or one of your friends has completed the game, you can make your game harder or easier. This has been waiting for so long. I can't tell you how much this will probably make a difference to the Pokemon community, because finally people are going to have a harder or easier game depending on how they want. That was one of the real problems with the original Pokemon games, was it was one size fits all, and that really doesn't always work. What else is there in the game? Daily and weekly events and also seasonal events occur in the game. So it kind of keeps the game a bit fresh, because you might have to play on a Monday to get a specific Pokemon, or play in spring to get a specific event happening. So in that way, there's definitely a sort of freshness with that. After the game, there are some really strong trainers you can fight against, and also another feature that wasn't in Black and White, Pokemon World Tournament, which pits you against every single gym leader that has ever existed in all 5 generations. as well as the champions from all 5 generations. And, well, I have to say, it's a really impressive mode. It's a sort of tournament mode, and it's something that has been, like, really wanted by a lot of people, to be able to battle all trainers, the gym leaders and Elite Four from all 5 generations, and it really comes together really well. And of course, there are, you can do Battle Frontier style battles like Rental Battle, that sort of thing. So they really have invested in the post-game gameplay, which really wasn't there in Black and White 1. What else? There is an achievement system. Pokemon has medals, depending on what you've done. Medals range from anything from you've caught 20 Pokemon to you've caught every fire-type Pokemon in the game, for example, or you've done 1,000 battles. This adds a really good really good depth to the single player, because once you've done the game, I've always felt with Pokemon, once you've completed it, that's it. Put it down, maybe start again or something, because if you don't want to do the Battle Frontier, which can be a bit tricky, it's a bit of a step up, there's not really much to do. Now you can go out there, collect the medals, do the achievements, and it really does add a lot of depth in there to, you know, to the post game, to playing the game. You get a sense of achievement as you go through it. What else? Pokewood, also known as Pokestar in the American European version. This is where you make films based on Pokemon with your characters, and no, you don't. You're not going to be spending much time here. Compared to the contests, which I think are still my favourite alternate to the gym, in a sense, Pokewood, Pokestar, the musicals have all really let down. There's no depth to them. You kind of fill in, and every time you do it the same, and eventually there's a system you can use to complete them in the best way possible, and it doesn't really flow very well, and it's too mechanical, and it's not right, and the Pokemon contests are still miles better. But however, that you can avoid it. If you don't want to do it, you can easily not do it, and that doesn't affect the gameplay majorly, so it's not too much of a problem. Graphics. If you're a Pokemon Red and Blue fan and you switch onto this game, trust me, you are going to notice the difference. The 3D animations and the animations for the sprites and the characters are really, really impressive in this game. Even when the NPCs, like the gym leaders, are walking around, they'll do little actions, not even in battle view, and it's really, really nice to see that they finally cottoned on to getting the characters doing stuff rather than standing there like inanimate statues all the time, looking slightly retarded. The Pokemon have long animation cycles, so they're not doing the same action, like 2 seconds of action repeated and repeated. The animations in battles are really quite a long cycle, which is good to see that they've really invested some good time in that. And I have to say, the graphics for a DS are really, really impressive and really well done by Game Freak. I'm really impressed with that. Sound. Well, the sound in Pokemon is limited. At the end of the day, the sound in Pokemon is always going to be the same as it is for most games. They have reworked it, of course, and the reworks that they've done to modernise it are really quite sweet. There's some almost like electronic music in there that really does boost up the game, give it a bit of a vibe that is certainly very interesting. But at the end of the day, the sound isn't a main category of Pokemon, and it really doesn't progress much beyond what you're going to get. It's pretty much the same in Black and White. The Pokemon cries are still for all of the Pokemon out there. They never really come up with anything extensive for that. And finally, we have multiplayer. Multiplayer for Pokemon has always been a case of you battle and you trade. And Game Freak have really had to try hard to step it up a notch. And in Black and White 2, they really have tried very hard to do that. First up, we have Fez missions, which are missions to like collect berries or catch certain Pokemon. And you can do these, I think, up to 4 players. And you have a certain time limit. And so you can do these missions, and they're really quite fun. I've not done any because I don't have the right internet. But they're certainly encouraging action with other players, finding friends to do these missions with, because you're not going to be able to complete them yourself. They also have put Join Avenue in. Join Avenue is a feature where you can get your friends to come in and build stuff in a little like market strip that you have, and the more friends you have come and build stuff, the better items you're going to get. What else? Unova Link. contained in that is memory link to import Pokemon from Black and White, so don't worry if you've got that one. You certainly can transfer your Pokemon over. 3DS link, because there are a few 3DS eShop games, I believe, and there are Pokemon you can catch on there, and you can transfer them over if you've got it. And also Key Link, which is used for changing your difficulty, most importantly, and also a few other things like transferring items. So you do get the battles and the trays that you would normally get, but there are a few extra features that have been worked in to really try and encourage groups of people to get together and play Pokemon, probably in a bit of a less competitive role, because Pokemon battles have always been a bit competitive, and for the hardcore fans, because otherwise you get caned every time. And of course, back from Black and White is Dream World, which is on your PC sort of experience to get better Pokemon with better abilities, decorate house and get extra items and berries, but I won't go too much into that because of course that is in Black and White. So what do I think of this game overall? Well, I have to say, whilst Black and White was good, this really fills in the cracks that Black and White had. The post-game is miles better. The plot answers questions in Black and White that really should have been answered. It gives you Pokemon from other generations early, which is really what I wanted to see. You can fight older gym leaders and all of that, and champions, and it's really good. And if you're worried about playing Black and White without playing Black and White 2, do not fear. The game, you can play it easily without having played the first one. So do not worry, but it does make it much more fun to play Black and White first, because when you're going through Black and White 2, you'll notice certain parts, you'll think, oh yeah, that's changed. Yeah, that's changed. That's pretty awesome. I like that. So, yeah, the game is certainly good. Of course, the graphics are really, really impressive, and I love those. What they've done, the progress that they've made, even since Platinum, is really, really good, and I would advise you to at least consider it. So, what can I say? I mean, if you really, really still hate Pokemon and you think it's too young, you're not going to buy it. But if you're considering Pokemon, or you do like Pokemon, this is a really, really nice game, and it really does have a lot of playability value to play over and over, hours and hours. And the game itself is certainly one of the majorly good additions to the Pokemon series, which admittedly has got a bit long, but there is some good quality stuff in there. So my final score for this game, I think I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. No, actually, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. 4.5 out of 5 stars. It really does deserve that. It was a fantastic game, and they're really beginning to work in the right stuff for this game to make it good fun and to complete the bits that haven't been completed. Anyway, that's me. Remember, there are comment, like, and subscribe buttons if you want to have a look at them and do what you need to do with them. You know what to do, guys. And look forward to more reviews and videos on the channel, and make sure you check out the website, because I'm going to write this review up as well for you over there. Anyway, that will be me, sonnorcteer, out.